We're at the Rubicon Trail and we made it all the way up to Observation Point. With me today is Kit and his 2007 solid axle Tacoma. How's it going, Kit? How are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Let's start from the front and make our way all the way to the back. Guys, Kit built this thing himself in your garage, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I opened up a little shop that I could put a lift in and just went ham from there.
Dude, let's talk about this bumper. I know you build it yourself. It looks amazing.
So one of the main things I like to do is I like to build bumpers, right? I built this specially made for this Tacoma. It's really high clearance, as you could tell.
Did you have to cut any cross member or like anything to get it to be this high clearance?
There is no more cross member right here. These two originally bolts are actually made for the skid plate that I originally had when I was running IFS. But they really don't serve a point anymore.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, solid axle. What made you want to do this rig?
I've broken one too many tie rods. The last time I was actually out here, I've only made it to Buck Island. Broke a steering rack, sheared the bolts for it separate times, so I had to drop the skid multiple times. I broke maybe 4 or 5 tie rods. They're built aluminum. Yeah, it couldn't take abuse of 40s. So
you were like, I'm done.
Yeah, pretty much. It was just not fun. It was 110 degrees out on granite rocks. It wasn't gonna happen. I wanted to build something that was gonna go through the trail. I know it's gonna be good. And yeah, I mean, want to conquer any trail you want. This is the way to go.
Dude, let's geek out with your solid axle. How did you get this thing to just stick under there?
I mean, first thing you gotta do, you gotta figure out what kind of axle you want, right? There's variations of axles, there's different years. They change different splines. Certain years don't have the certain gears that you want. I think an 05 Super Duty, I think up to 012, it's 35 spline all the way across, outer stub and everything. So right now, it is a 538 gears from Yukon with an ARB air locker. It comes out and you hit the shafts. The shafts are chromoly shafts. On 1550 U-joints, same thing. I believe they come stock on F350s, F450s. Don't quote me on that. Overall, just very beefy. So the hubs, they're actually worn hubs. They're basically, that's how you actually activate the 4-wheel drive, right? It's not the same as IFS. There's no clicker or anything. So these are Artec high steer knuckles. They're actually really great. One of the biggest constraints about building a solid axle is just clearancing and packaging. The way this knuckle works is that every time it steers back and forth, this tie rod actually comes in and out a little bit because of the angle. The high steer knuckle comes out just enough to where you can clear a 175 tie rod, and this thing will take abuse for days. With that, we're running hydrosis because you gotta have a way to turn big 42-inch tires. We actually had to redo the entire steering package, which is the steering box, which comes from Trail Gear actually. Steering pump, because you need a lot more fluid into it. The reservoir to actually hold the fluid. So it's 8-inch rim, which is exactly what it's made for a Ford F250 Super Duty axle. And I've had no problem steering so far. I've been wedged in the rocks. You're able to steer freely.
So guys, Kit actually let me drive this thing and it's insane how it just feels so soft. You don't feel the big beefy tires. And overall, the experience driving it was amazing.
Did you ever feel like you bound up when you were going on the Super Bowl?
No.
Yeah.
It's very responsive. There's not that much lag. Dude, you've made the decision. You want to go solid axle and you say, all right, well, I got to shear off. I got to completely cut out everything that's holding the IFS together.
Yep.
There's no turning back. And you've never done this before.
I've never done this before, but I've been wanting to do it for...
And how did you do this? Is this in the forums? Like, where did you read about this?
It's a mix of forums, YouTube.
Chuck?
But having a really good buddy is very helpful. His name is Charles, and he's already built his rig before. Sometimes it's hard to position where the axle needs to be. And clearance, like I said, clearancing matters a lot. This kit right here, from the panhard bar to the links, cross member and the shock tower, it comes from a guy named Nick, and he's the owner of Martech Engineering. You don't have to bust through the inner firewall and remove everything because it'll just fit a shock like this, and it'll go with a 12-inch shock.
Now it's sitting a lot forward. Like, look how much you had to cut. Kit had to cut so much that he's getting into his headlight now.
Yeah, not gonna lie, the kit is actually supposed to come back another inch, maybe 1.5 inches. but I pushed it forward just a little bit extra. I understand that it might not be the complete geometry that he wanted originally designed for the kit, but the approach angle was great.
This guy has not gotten stuck. I don't think he got stuck ever at the Rubicon.
Not yet, but you know, you never know. I actually did get stuck once, but all I had to do was just back it up and just pick a different line. The biggest thing about solid axles is sometimes just getting caught on the diffs.
So you did mention it's a 2007 Tacoma. I'm assuming
Yeah.
you did a facelift on it.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but this is from actually an 11 to 15. I like the aggressive look, right? I felt like the 05 was very bulgy. It almost looked like a punch buggy to me, if you ever seen one of those.
Dude, I love the 2008
yeah.
model.
I mean, I do, but the headlights that I was buying for it, they didn't look as good as the 11 to 15s. I have a pair of S2 lights and I never had to use them yet.
Just because of how bright these ones are?
Yes, those are actually really bright.
I'm seeing you had to cut here. Like, how badly are you rubbing up here? Because it feels like you're still sort of hitting this. I know we talked a little bit about this in camp. And what are your future plans for this now that you see that you are sort of getting up there?
Yeah, so you could tell if you want to zoom in right here, I actually had to cut a lot of the brackets off just to clearance some of this stuff. I actually have to remove a lot more of this, and I actually have to relocate the entire battery sooner or later. My plan is to actually swap into a 3rd gen front end, and the reason why is that they actually stick out a little more boxy, and there's actually a couple inches above, and I think that'll give me the right amount of clearance. Once that happens, I do plan on closing that back up.
Coilovers, what do you got?
These are actually from Locked Off Road. They're 275 over 250 spring rate.
Have you done anything to the interior?
Yeah, let me go ahead and unlock it real quick.
Dude, can you explain to me all these levers? Like, what is all this? I want us to geek out a little.
This right here, it's actually an Atlas T case under there. It is a 4-speed. This first lever is actually a doubler. Whatever the gear ratio you have, essentially it'll make it even lower, right? I think the final gear ratio, it comes down to like a 10 to something. I forgot exactly off the top of my head. It's actually, so the Atlas is like one of the best things you can do in terms of upgrades. So these other 2 shifters, right? I mean, aside from the transmission, one controls the front axle, one controls the rear, essentially. You can actually put it into just 2 front low and do what you call a front dig.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, once you're on double low, basically it's 4-wheel drive front and rear low with the doubler on. Good luck trying to press the brakes without the truck still moving. It'll pass through the brakes. You could try to brake, and with the way the link system, it'll actually shoot the whole suspension up. So the seat delete is very easy for the access cab, which is why I love the access cab.
Dude, this I've never seen. Dude, I'm sorry, I have never seen this setup in anyone's Tacoma before.
Yeah.
This is such a rad setup.
You know what you have to do?
What?
It's 4 bolts and maybe.
Oh, so that's in there. That's not flying anywhere. Like none of this stuff is gonna hit you if you're out in the trail.
Nope. Unless you flip upside down, that's the only way.
Infotainment system upgraded. How are you liking it?
Yeah. I guess I bought the wrong one, so the bracket wasn't right. So hey, I was like, you know what? We're not gonna go buy another one. I'm just gonna tape it, but I like it.
Sliders. What do you got?
These are actually RRW sliders. They actually don't offer them anymore. I got them back in 2021, I would say. They were originally bolt-on. The thing is though, if you look down here, there actually had to get cut. A big section of it had to get cut to be able to fit these trailing arms, right? So we're like, okay, next best thing you could do, turn them into weld-on. And with the way I welded it on, it's never gonna come off.
Now, Kit, before we move on to the back, let's talk transfer case.
I actually made a custom skid plate for it, and it's the only skid plate you'll ever need for a solid axle vehicle, right?
Dude, how strong are these links? You said the only thing you have to protect down there is, you know, your transfer case. You build a skid plate for it. But I've seen you go through some of these terrains, dude, and you're literally landing on boulders.
Yeah.
And the entire weight of the vehicle is just on it.
Trailing arms are made to pretty much slide over, right? Technically, they're really meant for desert running, but I love the style. I think you get a lot more shock out of it too. And I wanted as much up and down travel as possible. This thing flexes like a beast. Trailing arms, I actually made them in-house. I won't take the credit. There's certain places that will sell you just a file, and we'll cut them out, we'll weld it. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. It is fully boxed in. It is ribbed inside as well. It's all 3/16 and layers and layers and layers of it.
All right, let's move on to the back. This is where I think the majority of the action's at.
The back, luckily, because we have Tacomas, and then with the bed, you have a lot more freedom to do what you want to do. I ended up going with a 14-inch trailing arm 3-link system. With the way the 3-link works is that it has 2 lower arms, which is the trailing arm, and an upper arm that actually holds the pinion, right? That way it's not going up and down. And from there, you have the panhard bar, which keeps it coming from left to right. And then you also have to run a sway bar when you're running.
Sort of, from what I'm seeing, it's a lot like a pre-runner.
As much as I like to rock crawl, sometimes I like to be a little goofy and just blast through things too. This thing is sitting at about 6, almost 7 inches of up travel, which is really good. It's sitting about exactly where it needs to be for a 14-inch shock. And this thing flexes about almost 5 feet in the air. So if you look into here, I actually made these shock towers out of my bender. But this is why I was saying everything that's dust proof needs to stay inside. I have a big hole right here, which I'm okay with. I can live with it for the performance that I'm getting.
Dude, when you did all this, right? Solid axle swap in the front. You also did the back. Were you not nervous of like positioning it, where it was gonna sit? Like, what was how gnarly was the math behind setting it up to have the right stance, to be at the right level? How complicated is that for someone that's just starting out like you?
It is very nerve-wracking. But like I said, if you have somebody there to essentially hold your hand, okay, Mr. Charles over there, nothing can't be done. Nothing that can't be done.
Like, you have to want it. Like, you had to call him, you had to bug him, you had to wonder, you had to trial and error.
All the research that I did, and I felt like I was confident in it, and he came over, was like, oh, this needs to be this, and that. You just have to put the work into it.
What camper do you have? This thing looks sick, man.
This is a Beyond camper from my good friend Chris. Real easy to pop out, you know, just like that.
Dude, that is...
It's on hydraulic struts. And then let me go ahead and open it up. Check out, if you want to come in here and check out the reservoirs, I felt like at the time it was just the best place to mount them. And like I said, I needed the rigidity of back and forth, right? So it's actually tied into the shock towers along with the bed.
So you just have all your gear out here, camping gear, and then you get to sleep up there whenever you get to camp.
You can go through under, but I really don't. Just because, like I said, in the back, it's usually just gear. You got to get your gear oil, your brake fluid, all that good stuff, spare parts. I even found somebody's engine mount on the side of the road.
That's exactly
what
at
our
is.
Campsite.
That's insane. I was wondering what that is.
Well, looks like the motor mount gave out and then it hit on the way from observation. Bashed some oil related canister and it broke the bolt that's threaded onto the block and basically lost all my oil.
And then this is the big boy right here from Power Tanks.
One thing we cannot forget is I want everybody to see your rear bumper, bro. This thing is super clean and nice, man. The way that you follow the lines, you know, like the way how you were talking to me about the thickness of this, right? That's like roll cage status right there.
The roll cage spec is 1.75 tubing, and it's strong. It's not gonna go anywhere. I actually had all the weight on the truck and stuck on this right here doing a buggy line. That's why you see my license plate actually formed to it, right?
All right, last thing, guys, for this build walk around, we saved the best for last.
I think so. The thing about a solid axle, there's so many different ways. That's why everybody's build can be different and unique. I chose to opt for a Sterling 10.5, which comes from the same set of axles that for the front, right, which is F250. It has 35 spline shafts. It's basically a Super Duty 1-ton axle. The reason why I went with this, it's the same length as the front and it's the same lug pattern. It's also 538 gears because you gotta have matching gears, and ARB lockers all the way. I love ARB lockers. If you set it up right, they're reliable and they activate instantly. I used to have E-lockers and you never really know if it's gonna be on or not. These brakes are actually supposed to be hanging around right here. The big issue is when you're climbing on the rocks, it pops the brake line a lot, often more than you think. So this is a small company, and shout out to them. They're from, I believe they're called Detail Fabrication, and they're like big Jeep Cherokee guys, but they also run the same axles. These brackets right here are aluminum brackets, and they actually swap the brakes over. So passenger goes to driver, driver goes to passenger, whatever that looks like. And then they're just mounted up top. You'll never hit a brake line ever again.
Kit, where can people follow you, man?
Yeah, I usually use my Instagram only. It's Brody_Wody. I know it's a weird name, but I have had it since high school, and I really don't feel like changing it. It's too late. But yeah, go ahead and just give me a follow on there. Appreciate you guys.
If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button. If you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.